Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. This is going to be my video discussing which Izzy figure is best for you in light of the sort of interesting case in terms of getting your hands on an individual Izzy figure. As unfortunately, you can't buy a regular basic Izzy figure without buying a 5-pack as of this recording. Maybe at some hopeful date in the future that's remedied. The only way to get an individual basic figure of any kind is this one with the Armored On mode. Of course, there is the lightning option, which you can see the box behind you, but that has had some unfortunate QC problems of brittle figures breaking easily, of which I have had happened twice. Yes, that's right, I said twice. In previous videos, I covered the fact that my Izzy figure's head broke off. I got a replacement. Thankfully, Amazon was able to exchange that for me, and ding, 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 that's the sound of Ram 2. Now, you're probably thinking, user error. This guy didn't blow dry it and do the magic spell circle you have to do with your figures to take care of them. No. I mean, I was extremely careful. And I want to note that the first time this happened with my first figure, it wasn't like I was pulling on it really hard. Hey-oh, but like, I'm sure you've had those ones before where you're swapping out either a hand or a head, and it's like really hard in there, and you have to pull really hard, and it pops off, and it doesn't break. This wasn't that case at all. It was extremely casual when it happened. I didn't even give it a second thought because it was such a light pull. But this time, I thought I was ready. I did some push-ups and workouts and protein and supplements, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold this in place, because what happens is this whole thing is brittle, and it pops open and yanks the mechanism out. So I held this in place. I pinched the neck with my fingers, so I was holding everything in place. I was being as careful as possible, and it yanked right out. Second one, it happened. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to film this video anyway and talk about the pros and cons of your options for an Izzy figure. Because again, unfortunately, I think it sucks for this and Chase. You can't just buy a basic figure. Like, if you could just buy the basic figure, I would right now say my recommendation is get the basic figure. It's not perfect, but it looks decent enough, and it's like half the price, and you don't have to worry about it breaking. Because while they don't feel like the most expensive figure, I've never had a basic figure break or felt like it was going to break. That might have happened to someone else, but I feel like it's happened far less often than the Lightning line. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Okay, Lightning one. Obviously, you're going to have some better paint, better proportions, better articulation. The helmet's probably going to be a little bit more accurate. And when you have it all together, if it looks right proportionately, it's going to be in a little bit better shape. And you do get an alternate head here. This one, though, looks a little Monster Factory-ish, and one of its eyeballs is popping out. I do want to note that my first one's, civilian head did not look like that. So, that's a QC issue. You'll get your lightning effect part. Oh, that's for Zoe's. Whoops, spoiler alert. You'll get your lightning effect part. You get alternate hands. The sword's a little bit better painted. It's supposed to be an all-around better option. But unfortunately, it's more than twice the price, and yours might break. To be fair, there's been people that have had no problems with Izzy. That's thankful. So if you're willing to roll the dice, or be willing to possibly return it until you can get one that's less brittle, I'm just speaking to my experience. I'll just say that I cannot believe it happened twice in a row, and I could not have been more careful, unless I was using psychic powers to get it out of there. I don't even know what I'm saying now. My point is, I couldn't have been more careful. I will be trying to return it again. I will not be going back for thirds. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't want to have to even deal with it again. I'm more than happy with the basic figure. Now, the basic figure, again, this is your next option. You have to buy a 5-pack for this, unfortunately, which I think is only a drawback for those that aren't interested in the full team. But this, for me, is the best option. It's not perfect, but the paint's honestly fine. The proportions aren't perfect, but you know what? I've spent years with my main representation for each series being the basic figures, and the Hasbro ones are honestly fine for the price. So unfortunately, you'd have to buy a full 5-pack, but Amazon has sets all the time. But that's your drawback. But for me, this is the best option at the moment until we possibly release a figure art down the road, Ryu Soldier. I don't know. Maybe they do a Power Rangers version like they did back with mmpr back in the day. Maybe they released a fixed version. This is your other option, which I think is great, because you can just buy this on its own for like $8 to $10. I don't think they're $8, but I mean, you can find a sale, but it's around like the $8 to $12 price range, depending on if you're finding a sale or not. You can buy it individually, and if it having the armor doesn't bother you, that's your cheapest option with the least risk. Again, I think it's unfortunate, if you just really like Izzy and let's say Ollie, and you just want an individual figure of them without the armor that you can't buy, a fixed option, it sucks. So those are basically your options. Again, what I'm saying for my recommendation is go for the basic figures for now until there is either a better option or they fix the Lightning one somehow with a reissue. Again, not everyone's had that experience. So you might get lucky, and if you really have your heart set on the Lightning one and you're not into the basic one and you're willing to possibly return and roll the dice, more power to you. It can look decent if it's okay, but I've had terrible experience. So what I'm doing, not going for thirds, I'm more than happy with the basic figure. Again, half the price, less problems. Even if there's never a better alternative, I'm fine with that for now. I'm just speaking from my experience. But this is so unfortunate, guys. I really hate having to talk about like this because I think there's too much negativity, too much conspiracy theories and craziness going on with the fandom in regards to this. But I'm just reporting my experience and giving my recommendation. I'm saying that I think that in some form I would get one of these basic figures instead, whether you decide to bite the bullet for the 5-pack or the armored figure. The unfortunate thing about the 5-pack is, I think just adds to my frustration about this situation, is I think it's absolutely insane that you have to buy a 5-pack to get main Ranger team characters. Like, if this was a random one-off, like Russo Brown, like, fine, that sucks, you'd put in an exclusive pack. But for the main Rangers, I'm mainly thinking about, like, the families where they can't afford to buy one figure, or more than one figure, or a 5-pack. It sucks. And combine that with the fact that you now don't have a very decent option for an individual Izzy figure. Yeah. But anyways, guys, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.